What most people don't know about themselves that are listening right now is they're salespeople, not branding and marketing. If you, when I was coming up the game, everyone's like, oh, Gary doesn't get it. He doesn't know how to do, he's not doing funnels. He's not doing, they didn't get it. I was playing chess, they were playing checkers. Like they were looking for short-term arbitrage. I was playing long-term brand. If you're listening right now and you say, well, TikTok doesn't get leads, you're a salesman.
Yes.
Which is, by the way, I'm a salesman, I like that. But you know who salespeople are? People that don't know how to do brand and marketing.
Yep.
They have to be left with sales. And then you know what the 98% of the rest of the world is? They can't do either, which is why they work for salespeople or marketers.
That's right.
Well, everybody wants outcomes today, damn it. You know, and everybody's impatient. And look.
You know who's getting outcomes today? Nike. You know how they did it? By building a brand.
Exactly.
You know who's getting outcomes today? This motherfucker right here who's been doing this show for 6 years, and Garyvee's now sitting in front of me.
That's exactly right. But that didn't happen 6 days in, or 6 months in, or 16 months in.
No.
It's the game. By the way, people are like, oh, Gary. I was like, oh, Gary, nothing. Like, I worked every day in a liquor store for 13 years to figure out how things marketed and branded. Like, and before that, I spent my childhood in marketing and selling. Like, I don't know what, I think Malcolm Gladwell's thing was 10,000 hours. Motherfucker, I don't know, I gotta run the math, but whatever fucking, what am I, 48? Whatever 42 years of trying to sell or make signs or build brand or sell, whatever 40, and I didn't do school like that. I gave it none of my time. Whatever 42 years subtracted by 7 hours a day on sleeping on average, whatever that math is, that's how many hours I put into this craft.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I've haven't agreed with everything that you say, but I've always respected the hell out of you because you live exactly, you preach and if you really watch what you're doing, Gary, you've always done what you're telling other people to do. That's the secret, guys.
Couple things on that, brother. One, I appreciate your opening line. I want people to hear this. No one should agree with anyone on everything. It doesn't even make sense. We all have different life experiences. We end up figuring it. By the way, we also all change our minds. Many people have written to me that they didn't believe something and then they believed it, or vice versa. This is why I call my book Day Trading Attention. Someone emailed me the other day and said, hey, I watched this video. I've been trying it. It's not working. I replied to him like, bro, I did that in 2009. That video's from 2009. Shit's changed. And so, we should, and I appreciate that. I really do, I'm scared to be wrong. So I talk about the things that I know or the things that I'm living, and I stay in that pocket. So the biggest compliment I ever get in social media is normally when someone's trying to troll me in the comments. They're like, Garyvee, you say the same shit. And I reply, I'm like, thank you. I'm like, what do you want me to make up stuff I don't believe in just to say something different?
Yeah, but what you're doing is the epitome of what you're preaching, which is brand. And brand, you play your greatest hits over and over again. And you're literally, because if you're not consistent, you can't build a brand.
I just saw a fucking billboard for Rolling Stones is going on tour. I'm like, these motherfuckers have been doing this shit for 80 years.
You got your hands in so much shit, like, I don't even know how you keep, I have my hands in a lot of shit, and I watch you and I'm like, God, how do you keep your head straight?
I think for me at this point in my career, I have so many right-hand men and women, right? Like I'm in an earned, luxurious place of eating a lot of crow and putting a lot of deposits down over the last 30 years, right? So at 48, when people are like Vayner Sports and VFriends and VaynerMedia and then VaynerX, there's 8 companies under it, and then the pickleball team and then the restaurant group, VCR, and just like to your point, there's the winetext.com. Everybody, if you buy wine, winetext.com, sign up. Like that, like they see it and they're like, how? And I'm like, well, AJ, my brother, Marcus, who's been with me for 15 years, runs the Sasha Group. Kaylin McNamara is my chief business officer for VaynerX. She's been here 11 years. Hannah's my chief of staff. She's been here for 10 years. Claude is HR for all of it, 10 years. Mark Yudkin, general counsel and concierge and COO for VaynerX, 16 years. Brandon Warnicki's my best friend for the last 34 years, runs the wine business. Ryan Harwood's my GM and partner in the pickleball team, 13 years. Like, you're young in your journey, you're a youngster. This is the reason people don't understand. If you want to build something meaningful, it's only relationships. If I had people that I just hired a year or two ago in all the roles that I just mentioned, by the way, there's another 50 that I didn't mention that are here 7 to 15 years, either running departments, offices, or important things. Andy K runs VFriends, 13 years. Sid runs my personal brand content, a decade. Like, Dustin, you've been here now 4, 6. Build a culture, do right by people, give a shit about them, create longevity. I don't know how many people listening like football the way I do, American football, but if your offensive line is intact, the same offensive line year after year after year, watch how good your football team will be. Not real anymore with injuries and free agency, but Jesus Christ, that's how.
Takes a village.
It takes a village, and it requires you to love them, not they work for you. And that's where everyone gets it fucked up. When you're a boss, you work for them, not they work for you. And the day you figure that out is the day you start creating continuity, and the day you start creating continuity, you start to build the blueprint for scale.
Yep.
Amen. I learned that the hard way, man. I did, my time in Madison Avenue in New York, in my late 20s, early 30s, and it was me, and I thought I could carry the world on my own talents or ability or, whatever the hell. And you get grounded real quick. You cannot grow. You can't do what you want without others or without a hell of a team.
If people don't like you, you're in trouble.
That's right.
And people are never gonna like someone that is only in me life. When you flip that M and you go we life, it gets real good real fast. And then as a complex, thoughtful leader, you start to understand some people want money, some people want a title because they're insecure and they want the status. Some people want work-life balance. By the way, some people, and these are the people I'm always gravitating to, they want challenges and different things. Some people want to travel. So, I don't know, I'm not in the business of judging what my employees want. I'm in the business of trying to figure it out. I say this all the time, passion's always right, because you like it more, this. Yeah. Look, I love marketing, so I love VaynerMedia. I love wine collecting and trading cards, and it's easy for me to do well in things that I love. Look, I'm a salesman, I could sell anything, but if you like something more, you're gonna do it at 10 p.m. to midnight because it's your hobby, and if you're doing something you don't love, you're not. It's not complicated. And so passion's a great way to go. The problem is you have to be good enough.
I'm interested in what drives you now. I get when there's a point to prove, when you're an immigrant, that when you've been picked on, that when you've been...
But you know what's funny? My spirit doesn't come from that chip on the shoulder, even though I just spoke with passion about it. Mine's about curiosity I like the game. I'm curious. I would have loved to have been a professional athlete. I'm so sad I wasn't. That would have really, really satisfied me because the data was there. If I was a running back in the NFL, it would have been over, and I would have ranked 97th in career rushing yards, 400th in career touchdowns, right? 18th in receptions by a running back. And I could have I would have enjoyed that. I would have been good for Barry Sanders. He was better than me. And fuck you, fucking Ricky Williams, I was better than you. That's what drives the shit out of me in entrepreneurship. I love this game of brand building and business building. I'm talking what drives me as a professional. As a human, what drives me is to be happy as often as possible and interact with the people I like the most as often as possible. But so much of what I love and what makes me smile is the friendships I make through the process of business, the family I make through business. It's so fun for me, and I'm curious. I love where I'm at right now. I've done well, but there are unlimited people on stats that have done better than me. But I have a sneaky feeling that I'm gonna catch up. And so what drives me is I think I've been built for the fourth quarter my whole life. I alluded to it earlier. everything I've been building is for 60 to 70. So.
Do you still want to be working and grinding when you're 16, 17?
Of course, because it's my hobby. I don't want to do anything that I don't like. I was a DNF student because I didn't like it. I was smart enough to get B's and C's, but I didn't even have that gear in me. If you said to me, hey, great interview, do me a favor, can you help me hang this picture real quick? I'd be dead. I'd literally rather give you like lots of money or like do anything. Like I would go on a conference call to all of your employees for 14 hours that I don't have sooner than help you hang that picture. So of course I want to do that because I don't think of it as grinding. I don't think of it as hustle porn. I think of it as doing the thing that brings me the most joy. I would rather be in a business meeting than on a golf course. I would rather be in a business meeting than sailing. I would rather be in a business meeting than cooking. I'd rather be in a business meeting than watching a movie. I'd rather be really watching the Jets, having dinner with my family, love dinners with people, love jam sessions. It's so fun to be in Austin. This is where I learned to love it. South by Southwest, on the ground, in hotel rooms. Give me 25, 7, 19, 8, 13 smart people, clever people, thinking people, thoughtful people, and just jam about it. I'll take that over working every day of the week. But there's just not a lot of garage sailing. I know that's like a funny, like people, like a lot of the kids, because my TikTok videos go, a lot of the kids think of me as the garage sale guy, because my TikTok videos do like, but even that's business, marketing, buy, sell, trade. You know, I really love it. And so of course I want to be doing, like you hear these stories, I'm sure this has crossed your paths, of the people who retire at 81 and then die at 82. I know why. They thought it was what they were supposed to do, and it took the life out of them. I have two important things to say about this. One, I will do this forever, and I really hope to live to at least 100 doing it. Two, I'm incredibly excited of making my last social media post a split screen of this, where I just ranted here, and now 71-year-old me is making a video and saying, today's the day I'm retiring, both from running businesses and making content. This has been the great joy of my life. I love all of you. I hope that all the archives of everything I've put out can bring value to all of you. But today was the day I woke up and I said, I don't like this anymore.
So you're open to this trajectory not continuing in the way that you see it right now?
In a way that would make your fucking head spin. In equal, visceral, high energy of like, the day I wake up and I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm out. In the same way that I have full conviction as I sit here right now that day will never come. And you know how proof happens? Time.
Correct.
These fucking kids hate me for pushing patience like it's the fucking cure, but motherfucker, I know all these alpha A and B fucking winners that I see them every day. I read all their DMs, I watch them. I may not remember their name, but I can tell you the joke they made, Nikki Cass, right? I know that fucking kid is funny as fuck, and he's got fire in his belly, and I can do shit like that, and I'm telling you right now, the number one kryptonite for all these fucking super men and women is fucking patience. They want this shit so fast because they're insecure. They want to show everybody they already won because they play for them, not themselves. Could you imagine if athletes played for the audience? Could you imagine if athletes cried when the Knicks get booed? I'm so pumped about the Knicks right now, finally. The Knicks get booed every single game, every single basketball team that plays in a major city. If they're down 11-0 and have to call a timeout because they came out shitty, Philly, New York, LA, they get booed. Could you imagine if they're like, I'm not going back out there, I just got booed. That's literally like being a content creator when somebody shits on you or you have a bad day and you don't want to post again. People don't have inner strength because they're insecure, and that is what I'm obsessed about 80% of my content, to find different ways to get people into self-love because it unlocks fucking everything. You can't play if you're not strong.
What do you make of the culture of cynicism on the internet? That, to me, seems to be kind of the set point, ground zero for the way that people behave online, is this cutting, sardonic, very cynical, zero-sum mentality. I think the internet and social media doesn't exist. I think they're a mirror of human truth. So when I hear you say, what do I think about the cynicism of the internet? I take out the word internet and put in society. Aren't people that cynical because they don't seem to behave that same way in the real world?
That's because it's scarier to do it. You might get punched in the face. Keyboard warriorship is real fun. People do it in their own minds. They don't say it to your face because they're weak. The cynicism is happening in the airport right now. They're like, look at her. Who does the fuck she think she is dressing that way? They just say it in their head. The greatest thing that ever happened to the human being is social media. It exposed the living fuck out of us, and it will allow us over this next decade or two to take one step backwards, to reassess, to take 2 steps forward. I believe this era of social media will create the great Renaissance era of having real conversations around insecurity and self-esteem.
Why?
Because I think there's a lot of pressure. Because I think the conversation you and I are having right now, because I think it's in everyone's face, because I think people are scared, because I think suicide and insecurity and unhappiness is fucking really feeling it. But the silly thing is there's much more negativity in mainstream media than there is in social media. You can't find positivity on mainstream media. You can find unlimited, come hang with me. You can find unlimited positivity and answers and things that have merit and trying to figure it out with optimism that is practical. So I laugh about where we're at right now on the shitting on social. I laugh because this is another cliche example of the world not understanding. We did this with alcohol. The 1930s in this country of America, we banned alcohol. I love when people are like, we need to ban social media. I'm like, knock yourself out. Can't wait to see how that works out. Like, people are so naive, as if you need to ban the whole fucking internet if you don't want to deal with what we're dealing. What do you think happens if we banned all social media? Reddit would be a cesspool even more than it is now. Forums, comments on blog, like humans are gonna talk now on the internet because you can hide. The shit we used to think in our own heads or only talk to our one friend about or sit in our dinner table and talk about, we now talk about out loud. One of the reasons humility is my partner is I don't give a fuck about Garyvee. I'm proud of it, but it is not who I think I am. It is not my identity.
Where do you take that from?
That detachment of it?
No, where do you take who you are from? If it's not from the things that you spend, you take pride in being successful and growing.
In order, starting with my mom and dad, then my sister, then my brother, in order, probably the top 100 people that have spent the most minutes with me in my life and what they think about me.
So for people who are wanting to go on a path of success and exposure to the real world, is that a prophylactic, having a circle of people that you trust, that you have faith, have their best faith in you and care about you beyond not just what you do, but who you are?
The reverse. The having those 100 people be someone that you want to do the best for. Right? Like, to me, like, you become sustainable and unbeatable if your framework is giving, not taking. And if you do that with those 100 people, of course the outcome of them caring about you will happen. You've been giving them deposits of love and emotional strength, financial strength, whatever you're providing for them. And so, yeah, I think simplicity is a big game. It's really cool how this all worked out for me. I could have been born in any era. The fact that I'm born in the era where the merit of attention and business is all based on the internet now, no gatekeepers. Good for me. I'm good with that. 2, the era of judgment at scale that will disintegrate the most insecure and allow the most confident to shine, leave impact, inspire the next generation to get to true self-esteem, not fake self-esteem, and be able to navigate these choppy waters. Good for me. Social media that I grew up with, I know most people are gonna listen, but for the people that see the video, I'm circling some stock certificates. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, the first 3 companies I invested in, very early, well before their pre-IPO or exit.
Yeah.
That social media, the one that I started being obsessed with in 2006, up until the first 15 years, called 2021, though what I'm talking about started a little bit earlier, was predominantly based around the social graph.
Yeah.
And was done really like email marketing. So for the OGs in this call, or the ones that still do email marketing, I had an email newsletter for my dad's wine store in 1998 that had 91% open rates.
Yeah. Not bad.
Not bad. Some marketers ruin everything and we all email too much, and now it's 20, 30% if you're good. But that was what social media was. Go out and get as many people to follow you as humanly possible so that a percentage of them would see it, right?
Yeah.
And that was great for people like me that were able to build communities and have consistent awareness, and that was great. Now, what's happened is the fact that most people on earth can make a significant piece of content if they're capable and reap the rewards of it without amassing an audience for free is remarkable.
Yeah.
Every piece of content now is an individually judged piece of content on the merit of its creative and what it brings the audience. And that allows people to quote unquote go viral or get incredible amounts of reach with no cost associated with it, rendering us being in the first time in history where the creative is the variable to reach, not creative is supplied with money to create reach. AKA, we have spent the last 30 years forcing people to see stuff that they did not want to see by spending tons of money on it and losing in marketing. And now we can use organic social to get consumer insights, to get awareness, to get reach, to create more relevance because we can make more of it for different consumer segmentations. And so simply put, every platform that matters right now, the 10 that matter, the 7 that matter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Snap, they allow creative to get dramatically more reach if it's resonating with consumers, allowing us as marketers to extract qualitative and quantitative insights. And so we call them SMAs at VaynerMedia, social media ads. And when we have insights, both quant and qual, we can either turn it into brand performance ads, aka turn the creative into performance slightly with a tweak, amplify them heavily with media, even more than the 5 million organic reach or 400,000 or even 30,000, which is more than our normal 500 with media, just like you would do a television spot or a print ad, or take the insights from the actual social media post and use it as a brief to create what we call 6 socially informed campaigns, thus mitigating the risk of the campaign because you got actual affirmation that there's consumer interest in it, not focus group or bullshit reporting that most Fortune 500 companies run. Just because you spend $7 million, by the way, on social, on digital, on linear, doesn't mean that it's being seen.
Yeah.
It's potential. The biggest disease in this industry is potential reach versus actualized reach.
Yeah.
Every GRP, every impression, every CPM, think about a billboard.
Right.
They're all fake metrics. And so what is very real is the algorithms on social media are so good that they want to keep you on. So they're going to show people with a high propensity of liking this thing, the thing. And if us as people continue to like and comment and share and engage or spend time looking at it or watching, you're telling the algo yes, which gives more confidence, which allows it to get reach. That is a truth.
Yeah. Good point.
That is a truth, brother.
Yeah.
And so I can make a video that I think is great, and I've done this a long time, and I trust my subjective opinion. But if I decide to spend $1 million on Facebook to amplify it before I do it organically, I'm guessing.
Right.
And that's happening every day in marketing. And so that's where I'm going.
Yeah. Well, and that democratizes the process too, right? It allows that person that creates that video. You used an anecdote in the book, somebody creates a video and was, debating whether or not to even post it. And all of a sudden it blows up without them spending a dime on it. Right.
And that is remarkable. That is actually what we as marketers want. The reason we have focus groups and, do all this TV testing and A/B testing and is because we'd like to mitigate the risk.
Yeah.
We are now sitting with the biggest risk mitigator of all time called social media organic. While it's mitigating your risk for more campaigns, it's also doing marketing and branding.
Right.
Testing is being done in boardrooms. This is being done with consumer. It is the ultimate. And yet our industry doesn't have it as one of the top 15 most important things. They in-house it as a cost savings with a couple of kids on it.
Right.
They give it to creative agencies and pay them a fortune for it because they don't even care because they're actually just focused on the television spot or the brand slogan. Right. It is the great poison of our industry right now that we do not respect organic social media when it's sitting there and building up our competitors that have far less money in distribution because they're outflanking us on where the attention actually is. and what the creative is that is required to get it.
Yeah.
I think the whole framework of this book is that there's overpriced and underpriced opportunities in marketing, and they're not macro statements. I think every brand on earth can waste $10 million on social media tomorrow.
Yeah.
If they buy their media like it's television against one asset that wasn't made for the context of Facebook or YouTube Shorts or Snap. Like, if you don't know how to make content for the room you're in, and then you just spend a ton of money, you can wait. I mean, people are wasting tons of money on social, treating it like television or programmatic banner buying.
Right. Yeah.
So underpriced channels, when the organic reach potential per post is greater than it is somewhere else in social or traditional for the cost associated for making the creative. Meaning, if you can make creative that amortizes out to cost you $1,000 because of your agency fee or your internal fee, and you did that on TikTok 4 years ago, where every third post was getting 1 million followers,
Right.
because there's so many people on it, yet so few people creating for that demand. Well, that was remarkable. Today, there's a lot of Fortune 500 fashion brands who will spend a fortune on a photo shoot for a single post on their Instagram, and will get 1,800 people seeing it, or 18,000 organic reach, but they spent thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands on the photo shoot between the talent and the time and the production.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea, because Instagram right now is very competitive and there's more supply than demand in comparison to a TikTok. Meanwhile, people that really know how to make an Instagram post are growing rapidly. So there's the skill set and there's the macro. So platforms go through ebbs and flows. As we sit here today, Instagram is harder to crush on for 25 to 29-year-olds than Snap is. If you go to Snap Spotlight, you can, on post by post, you will get more organic reach on a Snap post, because most of the people listening right now are not considering Snap the way they consider TikTok and Instagram. Meanwhile, Facebook is also mildly underpriced because most marketers don't think it's cool, and they don't realize how many 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds are giving plenty of attention to that platform. And that also is organically amazing.
Yeah.
But every one of these platforms can be overpriced or underpriced, because if you're not good at the creative, it all becomes a waste of time no matter which platform you're on. But there's obviously moments where some platforms are really fertile. YouTube Shorts was really fertile 2 years ago. If Vine comes back and TikTok gets shut down in the US, that is going to become very fertile. So attention moves like water, and you have to be there to catch it, but you have to have the right cup. And the right cup is the right strategy and the right creative output.
And so how do you keep up with that on a, let's say you're working at a brand, and
by not spending your time in meetings that are dumb.
Good one. Yeah.
No, like real talk, like people ask me all the time, like our framework is PAC, platforms and culture. I want to know everything that's going on in these platforms, including streaming TVs, including programmatic, including print, including I'm paying attention every day if the Wall Street Journal wants to lower the price of a full page ad down to $1,000, because I'll buy it.
Right.
To me, this is not a digital or traditional or social thing. There's going to be a day and age in 10 years, brother, 13 years, 19 years, where I'm going to be yelling that social is grossly overpriced, because everyone's going to be doing it.
Yeah.
And VR or AR or something I can't even imagine is going to be happening. So this is not a traditional versus digital game. This is are you best at understanding where attention is, actualized attention, not potential attention, and then do you know what song, jingle, character, mascot, video, does everyone listening to this understand that the first second of every video you make on social media is life? Brother, I will tell you right now, Greg, it's inconceivable to me, knowing how great this audience is, that they are as religious about the first second of every video they post on every single social platform the way I am.
Yeah.
But they'll make a long form video, an anthem video for YouTube, and spend $1 million on it, and they'll mail in the first second and it's already over. They've already left a ton of opportunity on the table. Literally 15 years ago, I started VaynerMedia. I was in the wine retail business running my dad's wine store, and in 15 short years, we built a 2,000 person global agency for Procter & Gamble and Pepsi and Fanatics. Like we're it. Like I was just in Miami at PossibleCon. Like everyone knows in advertising, the madmen, like the people that do the advertising for BMW and for the Gap and for Exxon, like the biggest, that world, everyone knows they're on call, that I'm coming to get them. And the reason we're winning is that now that social media, organic creative is the starting point of marketing. Organic social media, the reason I wrote Day Trading Attention, which is the follow-up to Jab, 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 Right Hook. The reason I wrote it is because as we sit here today, the single most important thing in all of marketing is first and foremost, organic social media. Then everything else.
Go off on that.
Well, the reason to even have a podcast is more about the clips for organic social than the podcast itself. Like I literally did Garyvee, and I did Ask Garyvee and Garyvee for the social media clips, not for the long form. I even still do podcasts as a guest because Dustin's sitting right there D-rocking it, and we're gonna clip it, and there's gonna be 3 or 4 or 7 things. Social media organic, more important than commercial, more important than your email newsletter, more important than a billboard, more important than hiring Beyonce to be in your Super Bowl spot, big shout out Verizon, more important to anything else. If you are not the best in the world at organic social media, and the way I define that, as because I know you two have been paying attention for a long time, is I'm one of the few humans that equally has 5 million followers on LinkedIn as I have 15 million followers on TikTok. I'm talking cross-platform. I'm talking YouTube Shorts. I'm talking Snap Spotlight. I'm talking Instagram. I'm talking YouTube proper, YouTube Shorts. I'm talking podcast. I'm talking newsletter. I'm talking for real. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's just a fun time to be on this show because you were saying right before, you're so sweet. Like, I love you guys. Like, you're like, what's a win for you, Gary? I said, whatever's best for your audience right now, right? And you said, our audience is starting to figure out that like everyone could be an influencer. And I said, fuck, man, you couldn't even imagine how that hit for me. I'm like, I fucking sat and wrote this book in 2008. And I wish you knew how nobody believed me. Not my publisher, not my ghostwriter, not the audience. People, shit, go look at the Amazon reviews when I first put this out. Literally people wrote things like, this snake oil salesman's trying to tell you you're gonna make $100,000 a year on YouTube. What a joke. Think about what a joke that comment is now.
I think people, they're scared of the unknown, and it was the unknown. And what I like about you personally is that you always go for the unknown. Everyone is so scared of the uncertainty and the unknown and what they don't know, and they don't like it and they fear it, so they hit against it.
They don't like change either.
Right, and then other things that happen, especially for influencers and creators, is they get good at something and they want to hold on. The reason so many people fucked up the TikTok moment was they got 1 million followers on Instagram and they wanted to stay there because it felt cozy, because their ego liked the blue check mark and the 1 million followers, so they didn't start setting up shop on TikTok because they didn't want to start at 0. I get fired up to start at 0. I'm pumped. Like, you know, like, it's true. Like, I love having 60 people watching me on Twitch right now while I stream from my office on mute because everything is private information. And all my friends.
Wait,
and
how many people are watching?
60. Like, I'm just putting it on to test. 42. Like 28. Like, you know, but could I get more? Sure, as Dustin knows, like if I go on Instagram Live for 2 seconds and say, come over here, then it's 400. But like, I'm not Clicks, I'm not Booga, I'm not Kai Cenat, I'm not Aiden Ross. I don't have the time right now to sit in front and stream for 15 hours a day. Do I think I could do that well? I sure do. I think I can gab with audience for 15 straight hours and crush. But that's not in the cards for me right now. I'm operating. I'm building an enormously big IP called VFriends, and I'm building the biggest advertising agency in the world.
Yeah,
I'm busy.
And so when I saw that as a full circle moment, I was like, oh, okay, there's a way to do this long form content and go and speak and do all the things that we all do, but you can still be a great operator. And this just reinforces the main thing. But and you know, there's a lot of people out there selling a lot of stuff, I'm sure, you know,
yes.
And you know, get rich quick schemes and what to do. And I'm like, if they're just selling you on the idea that like they're selling you on something and they don't have the actual infrastructure, like, you gotta be really careful.
It's my biggest argument in marketing right now. There's a lot of marketing professors and pontificators. I'm like, if you're so good, why doesn't your book sell? Like, this, you know, to your point, get rich quick, we all know that that's played out.
Yep.
Like, people still get away with it, but like, people are getting smarter to that, and they're not as loud and as noisy as they used to be.
Yeah.
It smells. There's something that smells about it.
More importantly, it's just a simple question. Like, if you're so good at marketing, why doesn't your shit sell?
Right.
Like every author that writes a marketing book that the book doesn't crush is a weird situation. Like,
Nice way of saying it.
right? Like, if you're supposed to be so good at marketing, why doesn't your book sell?
What would you say to someone? I can't wait to hear what you would say to someone that says, I'm too busy to create content. Because you have 60 million companies. I'm looking at this list. Guys, I'm gonna read it in the beginning of this episode.
It's gonna take half the episode.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Please go off on what you would say to someone, I'm too busy to create content.
You don't believe in demand creation.
What does that mean?
You don't believe that creating new customers or consideration for what you're doing is important.
So they just want to appeal to who they have?
Do you know companies that are really great at sales, what they're also bad at marketing and branding? If you're a sales organization, that means it's not coming to you.
You're going out.
You're going out and hunting.
Right.
I love sales, and I love when companies do both.
Yes.
But if you're only about sales, it means you don't know how to market and brand. Because when you know how to market and brand, it comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when I hear that, I'm like, oh, that person doesn't understand that content on social networks in April of 2024 is the single most important thing in the world to do great, to get people to come to you versus you go chasing it. They're too busy oftentimes operating and selling, when if they understood that branding and marketing would accomplish the selling and free up time to operate. VaynerMedia doesn't even do RFPs anymore. This is very nerdy marketing talk, the request for proposal. We don't do it. We don't need to. Give me the business because you know we're the best. That's a good game. It's a lot more fun when you go out to the club when it's coming to you versus you running after it.
Yeah, because it's not. There's no desperate energy.
No shit.
Yeah.
You know what's funny too?
That's what you want. By the way, that's what you want with men.
Of course.
That's what you want when you're being chased as a woman.
Of course.
Think, come to me, bitch.
Of course.
You know what too? I also personally, I think Lauren and I both realize we're really bad at we're really bad at the sell.
Me too. By the way, I don't like selling either.
No, I don't
I
like
really
it.
don't like it. It's why I like marketing and branding so much.
Yeah, I like
it's even, think about what just happened in the meta here. Gary, what would be a win for you? Let me do branding. Let me bring value to the audience. Then of course they're gonna want to buy the kids book. Then of course they're gonna want to buy, like, I don't want to, what am I gonna say? Buy my book? Like, no shit. Like when people go do the Today Show or podcast, like I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? No, the audience, what do you think? Nobody understands, like you go do a podcast, you have a new book coming out. What do you think they want to happen? Of course you'd want your book to do well. For me, my book's gonna do well. There's no scenario where my book is not gonna do well.
And why is that, and how is that from a micro level? Like, how do you look at it? When you are ready to launch a book, how do you look at it as opposed to other people?
I look at it at this point as, do I have something to say that's gonna create more of you two? The reason day trading intention's fun for me, and I don't know if you've gotten to skim it or read it yet.
Yeah.
Okay, it's because even you two that are winning, there's real shit in there that you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
No, for
Well,
sure.
by the way, I have all your books. It's not just this book, it's all your books.
Well, that's it.
Anyone can open your book and highlight.
I write books on the concept of marketing and branding in the current world that are good for even the people at the highest levels, which then of course is gonna matter for the people that are just starting out, which was the waitress you.
Yeah.
I write books that both will crush for you when you were waitressing and crush for you right now in the midst of you building your empire.
And
you know how epic that is for me?
You also
But that's
don't
why I
write
don't-
books for money.
Well, sure, but that's,
But
sure.
I think it doesn't feel like that.
Of course not. It's
At
not
all.
enough money in it for me.
Right. But it seems like you do it because
I want to be historically correct.
You also
and I want
can't-
to impact. The intoxicate, to me, $1 billion is intoxicating. You two looking at me with the admiration through your 4 eyes is the intoxication. Admiration is $1 trillion.
Has it changed over this 2 decades? It's
Nope.
always been the same.
It's always been the same.
It's always been the same.
It's always been the same. My favorite people to interact with are the kids I grew up with that knew me for real. Everyone now is
like
like,
young-
oh, Gary, it's different now because you got the money. I'm like, you don't know me. You don't know 27-year-old me that was exactly this person making $61,000 a year.